Right, so in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Hayter Hawk 36 cordless lawnmower. I've already uploaded an unboxing and first impressions video of this lawnmower, but what today's video is all about is really digging deep, looking at the pros, the cons, and what my overall opinion actually is. We're going to be breaking this review down into lots of different parts. So we're going to be looking at the quality of the materials, we'll look at the range of height adjustments that there are on the mower, we're going to look at the crispiness of the stripes that it creates with the rear roller, we're going to be looking at maneuverability, we'll be talking about the grass box, how easy it is to store in a garage or a shed, the battery life, the charging time, and finally we'll be looking at the price. So first things first, the actual build quality of the mower itself. Now, I noticed straight away after getting this out of the box, and I mentioned it in my first impressions video too, is that the mower actually feels like it's made with really high quality materials. Now, this was initially quite a shock with getting this mower because it's the budget model of the Hayter, so I wasn't expecting anything too fancy. I knew it didn't come with a metal deck, I knew most of it was made out of plastic, but the plastic that it is made out of is really high quality. You can tell the difference between the likes of this and something like a Bosch cordless lawnmower. The actual machine is quite ergonomic because of the way the handles are positioned, and it has this like soft foam for the handles too, which makes it quite a comfortable lawnmower to use for long periods of time. Now personally, with the sizes of my lawns, I'm not using it for a massive amount of time, but the time you do use it, it is relatively comfortable. The wheels on this are actually really solid too, and the reason I'm saying this is because you can get quite a few lawnmowers where over time the wheels almost start to bend outwards and they have to almost be readjusted, and when this happens on a lawnmower, it just ruins the quality of the cut because you can't get your height adjustments absolutely perfect. Whereas only time will tell with this lawnmower whether that'll be the case. However, I can imagine it's very unlikely due to how solid the wheels actually are. So overall, I'm quite impressed with the build quality of this mower. It's not surprising given the price, which I will talk about a little bit later, but it's still good to see that Hayter are using premium materials for even the most budget lawnmower. The Hayter has 6 different heights of cut which can be easily adjusted by using the handle and the button on the side of the mower. To me, this is one of its most handy features because it's so easy just to swap and change between different settings. Just one thing to be aware of, if you do look on the website, it first tells you that there are 7 different height adjustable settings, and then further down on the same web page it says there are only 6. Now, when you actually get the manual, it does say that it only has 6 different heights of cut. So I don't know if this is an issue on the website or if it's referring to one of the bigger versions of the Hayter Hawk. Now, something that isn't super clear in the manual is that it says that the lowest height of cut is 19mm and the highest height of cut is 70mm, but it doesn't tell you what the increments are in between. I'll show on screen now the different height adjustments to what they roughly are when you sort of work out the difference between the 19 and the 70. To most people, this might not be that big of a deal, and to be honest, to me, I'm not really too fussed. I've found a couple of different settings that work best for my lawns, and I'm happy running with them. However, if you are someone who wants to get really specific about how high you want your lawn to be, then this might be a little bit of a problem because it's not completely explicit how high each of the different settings are. The next thing I want to talk about are the lawn stripes. Now, if you're picking up a Hayter lawnmower, one of the main reasons why you're picking it up is because they're well known for producing some really crispy lawn stripes, and the Hayter Hawk 36 does not disappoint. On the back of the lawnmower there is a plastic rear roller, but it is quite large and it produces some excellent stripes, and I think a big part of this is due to the weight of the lawnmower. Now, this does not weigh anywhere near what a petrol lawnmower would weigh with a big metal deck. However, for a plastic lawnmower, it's got quite a lot of weight that presses down onto the lawn, which then produces some really crispy stripes. I've used the Bosch lawnmower for the past 12 months and that had a rear roller on too, but I could tell immediately the difference between the Hayter and the Bosch. And like I just said, I think a massive part of why it's creating those crispy stripes is due to the weight. Now, in terms of maneuverability, it isn't the most maneuverable of lawnmowers. It's decent, it's not bad, but I think due to the weight of the lawnmower, it can be a little bit tricky, particularly when you're taking it to lawns that aren't sort of level with your garage or with your shed. I have to lift the Hayter from my bottom tier to my top tier in the back garden just so I can cut my smaller lawn, and it's not a massive deal, to be honest. It's only lifting it from one place to another, but if you're older or your back's done in and you can't be lifting things about too much, then this probably isn't the lawnmower for you. Like I said before, if you go to the likes of B&Q, they've got a massive selection of lawnmowers, most of which are designed to be quite light, whereas with this lawnmower, I think they've kept the weight there to get the nice crispy stripes, and a bit of a sacrifice of that is that it's less manoeuvrable than others. Now that's manoeuvrability whilst it's off, but the manoeuvrability whilst it's on is not too bad. When you're actually manoeuvring it around your lawn, it can be quite easy, and the reason for this is that the rear roller is designed in a way where it's thicker in the centre and thinner on either side, and this is so that you can actually manoeuvre the lawnmower more easily around the garden. Quite a lot of rear roller lawnmowers come with a split rear roller on the back, which stops it from actually tearing lots of your lawn up. And I think with a lawnmower this small, it doesn't really make sense to put a split rear roller in place, but having the type of rear roller that it's got helps it just to be able to get around the garden that little bit more easily. And onto the grass box. Now I'm going to be really honest, at first I wasn't a massive fan of this grass box whatsoever, and the reason why is because of the handle that it has. Now a lot of lawnmowers have a handle where you can almost, it feels natural to grab it and lift it onto the back of any regular lawnmower. However, with this, the handle's the opposite way, which means you almost have to reach within the handles to then hook it onto the back of the lawnmower. Now this isn't a massive deal, but if you're used to using the grass box with the handle the other way, it can just take a little bit of getting used to. And something actually that I do like about the grass box is the fact that when you take it off the back of the lawnmower, you don't have lots of grass that pours out onto your patio or back onto the lawn. With the Bosch lawnmower that I had previously, when you take the grass box off, you'd end up with loads of grass all over the floor. Whereas with this, it doesn't have that problem half as bad. Now, like any lawnmower, some of the grass is going to fall out, but it's nowhere near as bad as what the Bosch used to be. Now, in terms of storage for this lawnmower, it is absolutely brilliant. Now, all the lawnmowers that I've had in the past, with the instructions they come with, they say you're meant to undo the screws on the sides of the handles and flip the handlebars over the top. And in reality, no one does it. Unless you're really, really stuck for space, no one is going to be undoing those handles and flipping it over. With the frequency of how much you actually use a lawnmower on a weekly, sort of monthly basis. However, with the Hayter, they seem to have solved this problem with a really easy fix. So all you've got to do is you've got to reach between the handlebars, pull the bar up, fold it over, and then you can stand the lawnmower up, so it's not actually taking up loads of space in a garage or in a shed. With my old Bosch lawnmower, I just literally roll it into the garage and then just dump it in a particular space, doing nothing with the handlebars. Whereas since having the Hayter, every single time it goes into the garage, I fold it up perfectly and put it to one side. If you put the lawnmower onto its lowest setting, you can see there's two little letters that say VS, which stands for vertically stow. And what you are supposed to do is put it onto its lowest setting before putting it in the standing position. Now personally, I've done this maybe once or twice, but more often than not, I forget. I don't think it's damaging the lawnmower, I don't think it's doing anything particularly bad. I think it's just to give it the smallest form factor possible. I think, anyway. I mean, only time will tell. Maybe it'll blow up because of the height setting when I'm putting it in the vertically stow position. Who knows? Now it is time to talk about the battery life. Now when I picked up this lawnmower, I opted to go for the 2.5 amp battery, which is the smallest battery that Hayter do for the Hayter Hawk. And in hindsight, I wish I'd have gone for the 4 amp hour battery. My previous Bosch lawnmower had a 4 amp battery, and that lasted so long. I'd only really have to charge it after maybe a week and a half's worth of use. Whereas with the Hayter battery, I've been having to charge it maybe twice a week. Now it's not a huge deal, but with the frequency that I cut my lawns, it's a bit frustrating to have to charge the battery so often. Now, I always check the battery life at the end of a cut just to see how many bars are left, and as soon as it gets to 1 bar, I take it in and get it charged, ready for the next mow. Now, just bear in mind, I'm cutting my lawns every 2 or 3 days, so the frequency that I'm actually cutting the lawns is obviously resulting in poor battery life. Whereas if you're only cutting your lawns once a week, then the 2.5 amp battery might be worth it to you. However, if you've got much bigger spaces than mine, and you are cutting on a similar basis to what I am, I'd definitely opt for going for one of the larger batteries. Yes, you're paying a little bit more to begin with, but I think the long-term benefits are going to far outweigh the initial cost today. Now, the actual charger itself is pretty good. You can get a fast charge model, which I think is more beneficial if you've got one of the larger batteries, but with having only the small battery, I just opted to go for the regular, slower charger. And to be honest, it does charge the battery quite quick. I know I keep comparing this lawnmower to my previous Bosch, but that 4 amp battery would take ages to get up to full charge, whereas if I put the Hayter on within an hour, sometimes even less, it's back to full charge. And finally, onto the price. Now, I paid about £580 for this lawnmower, which included the battery, the charger, and also the delivery fee too. If you opt to go for one of the larger batteries or even for the fast charger, that price is going to go up significantly. But at the end of the day, the price is completely relative. If your budget can't stretch quite high enough for this, then there are plenty of other cordless lawnmowers on the market. The Bosch one that I've been using for the past 12 months was around about £300-ish, I think, £350, which granted is still quite expensive. However, it still remains a really great cordless lawnmower. There are even cheap ones you can get too as well, which sort of lie around the £200 range, which are definitely worth getting if it's going to be your first cordless lawnmower. But if the budget fits for you, or you're upgrading your lawnmower from something like what I had to getting the Hayter Hawk 36, then I'd highly recommend doing it. So finally, my overall thoughts then on the Hayter Hawk 36. To be honest, I think it's an absolutely cracking lawnmower. It's small enough to be able to be manoeuvred around all my lawns quite easily. It's got a brilliant rear roller on the back, giving you crispy lawn stripes. It's got a really nice cut to it. I just think overall, it's a quality piece of kit. Now, if you've got a much bigger lawn than what I have, then there are different models you can go for with different sizes. Feel free to, go out and get yourselves one of those. But I just think the rear roller, the weight of it, everything about it feels premium. So I'm really happy with my purchase, and hopefully if you're after picking one of these up for yourself, hopefully it swayed you either one side or the other. So thanks for watching today's video. If you liked it or you found it useful, then feel free to give it a like. And if you'd like to check out any of my other content, such as my garden renovation series or any of my lawn tip videos, then head over to my channel. And if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. And finally, thanks for watching.